Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a chilling narrative that perfectly illustrates the anatomy of supernatural horror. I want you to picture the setting for a second. We're at a small, totally isolated pine house right on the outskirts of a remote town in New Zealand. You've got dense, towering forests all around, a deep, dark lake nearby. It is the absolute picture of isolation, just the perfect atmospheric trap.
So think about this for a second. What would you do if a single sentence from an old, forgotten book sealed your terrifying fate? It's a classic horror trope, sure, but the way it unfolds in this story is just incredibly visceral. It pulls you right into a mystery where curiosity is punished in literally the most macabre way imaginable.
The nightmare actually begins with Richard. He's an older guy who just vanished one day. He literally left his front door wide open and disappeared without a single trace. Well, despite massive police searches to the woods and the lake, he's eventually declared dead. And that's when we meet his 25-year-old granddaughter, Mia. She flies in all the way from LA with a super logical, simple plan: clean up the property, check on the documents, sell the house, and head home.
So Mia spends her day dealing with the incredibly mundane reality of grief, just cleaning and sorting until only the garage is left. And it's exactly what you'd expect, right? Dark, dusty, filled to the brim with old tools and fishing gear. But because this is a horror narrative, she stumbles onto something completely out of place. Tucked way back behind a shelf, she finds this thick, heavy bundle tightly wrapped in black cloth.
No, what's really interesting here is the physical object itself. We're not talking about some old diary. The book's cover is crafted from these bizarre, mismatched patches of leather. And right in the center, there's this strange circular symbol made of tangled tree roots that frame a terrifying demonic face. Inside, the text is written in deep red ink, entirely surrounded by drawings of these long-fanged monsters. Some of the symbols even look like eyes, staring right back at her.
And man, things accelerate incredibly fast from here. Drawn in, Mia makes the ultimate classic mistake. She reads the words aloud. Instantly, this intense burning sensation just strikes her right hand. She slams the book shut, but boom, the sky outside turns pitch black. Gale force winds hit out of nowhere, and a massive swarm of crows starts circling the house. But the absolute worst part? Her hand isn't actually burned. Instead, these thin, black, root-like lines are actively spreading right under her skin.
You know, seeing this, it's impossible not to draw a direct parallel to the real world, specifically the movie Evil Dead Rise. Because Mia definitely isn't the only one dealing with the terrifying consequences of a forbidden book. Just like Mia's situation, the character Alice in that film arrives at an isolated family home, uncovers a creepy Book of the Dead, and unwittingly unleashes an ancient entity that turns the whole place into a living nightmare.
And hey, just a quick aside, if you're a fan of this specific brand of relentless, mind-bending terror, you can actually experience that living hell on the big screen super soon. Evil Dead Rise hits theaters on July 10th, bringing this exact type of supernatural dread totally to life. But bringing it back to Mia's story, the immediate chaos actually subsides. She hastily wraps the book back up and hides it. The sky clears, and this really eerie silence returns to the house. But those terrifying black lines on her hand, they do not fade. Completely exhausted and just drained by the whole ordeal, Mia retreats to an upstairs bedroom and falls into a super deep sleep.
Then, help me! The dead silence is just abruptly shattered by this desperate, agonizing scream echoing up from the downstairs drawing room. It completely jolts Mia awake, thrusting her right back into the nightmare.
Heart pounding, Mia creeps downstairs and just freezes. Sitting right there at the dining table is her grandfather, Richard, the exact same man the police officially declared dead. But he's in a horrifying state. He's totally emaciated, incredibly weak, and his clothes are just caked in wet mud. He's got these deep, dark circles under hollow, terrified eyes, frantically looking around the room. And sitting right next to him is that cursed book.
Trembling, Mia manages to calm him down just enough to get him some water. Finally catching his breath and constantly darting his eyes toward the shadows, he makes this chilling confession. Years ago, he was the one who found that exact book behind the shelf. It holds a vicious ancient entity, he warns her. He explains that right after he made the mistake of reading it, his total descent into madness began. He started hearing strange voices. He'd see the faces of his loved ones morph into these horrifying visions. Driven entirely to the brink, he actually abandoned the house and hid out in the woods, living like a wild animal in the old cabins by the lake to escape it.
He only came back tonight because he saw the sudden storm and the crows. He knew the curse had restarted.
But before he can even finish his warning, his eyes lock onto the kitchen window. The tension in the room just spikes. He is staring dead out into the pitch-black woods. Mia slowly turns her head to look, and standing out there in the darkness, looking directly back at them, is a girl with a completely burned face. So the crucial point is when Mia looks a little closer, because that's when the true horror sets in. The burned girl outside is a doppelganger. It is Mia herself. Seeing this horrific, charred premonition of herself staring back through the glass, it literally makes her soul tremble.
And the exact second that realization hits, the entity strikes. Richard's neck veins violently bulge out and turn pitch black. His eyes roll back into his skull until only the whites are showing. He is instantly consumed by this blind, supernatural rage, completely possessed. And right there on the table, with zero wind or human touch, the heavy pages of the Book of the Dead begin frantically flipping open all on their own.
It's like the house itself becomes part of the entity. As every single page flips, those bizarre dark symbols from the cover spontaneously manifest, burning themselves right onto the wooden walls. Over in the fireplace, dead, freezing cold ashes violently ignite into these roaring flames all on their own.
In an absolute panic, Mia lunges forward to force the book closed, but the second she grips the leather cover, this searing, agonizing pain shoots through her palms. She says it's exactly like holding glowing hot coals. And those same black, root-like symbols from earlier, they rapidly start expanding across both of her bare hands.
Meanwhile, a totally possessed Richard grabs this heavy, lit candle stand. Hot, boiling wax is just pouring directly over his hands, but he feels zero pain. He doesn't even flinch. With this terrifying, dead-eyed rage, he just starts advancing on Mia, wielding the flaming iron stand like a weapon.
The climax here happens in a matter of seconds. Dodging the blazing iron, Mia violently shoves Richard backward in pure self-defense. He crashes incredibly hard against the wall, but as he falls, the candle stand ignites the heavy curtains. The dry pine of the house just erupts. As Mia tries to escape through the window, the exact spot where her burned doppelganger stood, the roaring fire completely surrounds her, trapping them both inside.
It's a tragic end. By the time the local fire brigade and police crews finally made it out to the isolated property, it was just too late. The intense blaze had already run its course. Sifting through the smoking ruins, the authorities found exactly what you'd expect: the severely burned bodies of Richard and Mia.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer power of the entity, because the devastation was absolute. That massive pine house, the furniture, their entire family history, everything was reduced to absolutely nothing but ash and blackened embers. Just total destruction. Except for one impossible detail.
Sitting right in the middle of the ashes, in the exact spot where the dining table used to be, the Book of the Dead lay resting. At ground zero of a raging inferno that literally melted glass, the leather, the paper, the ink, it was completely unscathed. Not a single scratch on it.
It's such a chilling reminder of how resilient these dark entities are in supernatural lore. And hey, as a quick reminder, if you loved diving into this non-stop, inescapable curse today, and you want to see this kind of mind-bending terror play out for yourself, definitely check out Evil Dead Rise in theaters on July 10th. We're going to leave you with this lingering, provocative thought today. If a dark entity wrapped in leather can destroy an entire bloodline, burn a house to ash, and survive the flames without a single scratch, who will be the unlucky soul to stumble upon the ashes and turn its pages next? Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer. Keep your curiosity sharp, but maybe, think twice before reading old books aloud.